Hey there everyone, welcome back to Game Binding. My name is Dave, and today we're taking a look at a game called Metro X. Metro X? Let's do it. So as a disclaimer, this is a review copy from GameRate. Thank you so very much. We really do appreciate your support. Now this is another write game. This is a rail and write game. So instead of roll and write, you're flipping cards. Now these kind of games are hit or miss with me. There are a few roll and write games that I just absolutely love. There are a lot that I don't like. So going into this, I'm going to go ahead and take it with those biases, but know that there are a ton of roll and write or just write games. But this one right here does something a little bit different and has these little boards that you'll write on instead of having these disposable pads and piece of paper, which is very nice. I appreciate that. And the production quality is pretty good. Basically the theme is very thin. You're on subways or the tube and you're trying to make pathways. But without further ado, let me show you the simple production, show you how to play because that's simple too, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so this is what comes in the box. It's a roll and write game. It comes with erasable markers, cards that you need, and the part that you draw a line. I will say that the erasable markers are pretty good at keeping the ink in them, and the boards, the ink comes off relatively easy, so it doesn't really smear on the boards. They did a good job in production there, and that's it. Alright, let me show you how to play. Okay, so this is the game setup. Now I'm just going to go over the board here. Everybody will be doing the same thing. We'll be flipping over one card and they'll be executing it their ways. Essentially everybody can do the same thing if they wanted to and be just alike, but you basically pick your own path with your card. Now the cool thing about this board is, I don't know if you can see it, is there is some texture on the board, so if you're colorblind you can tell the difference, and you can also tell the difference because they are crisscrossing quite a bit. So on your turn, everybody will be doing the same thing. They will take this number here, or if it's a number, and they will take and put that number in one of these boxes here and then X off that number of boxes. So let's say I do that to the pink one here. So I put a 3 and then I'll go check, check, check. And the numbers can go as high as 5 on the blue cards here that have just regular abilities. So let's say we go to purple here, we can put 5 here. My left hand's terrible, by the way. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the trouble is, now that we have crossed the path of pink, we have started pink, but we can no longer go any further past the one that we just X'd out. We would have to stop at that X here. So the stipulations of stopping is at the end of the number, or if you reach another X, or when you fill in the last box that is in that line of subway. So if we fill in all these, we can no longer go any further on that track. The name of the game is to try to fill in all these little circles, because the more that we don't fill in, the more penalties we get, and of course the one with the higher score at the end is going to be the winner, so you don't want to get penalties. Now we'll go back over to the deck. Like I said, there are numbers, but there is this number here that has skip on it. This is where we can skip over that purple line. So we can do 3. We can go 1. Like we said, we had that one empty. We could have 1, then 2, 3, because we had to skip over that one. So you can do that on a circle that isn't occupied, but for that example that would have been good to do there. There's another thing that says free space. You can just go anywhere you want and just go boom, that one's done. So that's for everybody. And then there's one called transfer. So you would go to the next closest circle for transfer, and the number of pathways that the train intersects, you would do 2 times that number. So right here it would just do 2, could be 1, but right here there's 1, 2, 3, so this would be a 6, and you would be scoring those numbers along with these scores here. So once you get to the end of the line, if you're successful to do that, the first person to do that, they will get this top number here that's yellow, and the second person will get the white number. So you'll be scoring that way. That's how you get the points in the game. Now there are other cards here, the last one is reshuffle. So if this 6 comes up, you execute the X's for 6, and then you reshuffle. And there are a whole bunch of other skips and transfers and numbers, but those are all the card basics. You'll continue to do this until all these spots are filled up. If you cannot do a spot because the number is too high, then you would have to put an X here because you can't move. You would essentially fill in that spot. Once all these spots are filled in, you calculate your score of how many completed that you did first and second, how many transfer numbers you have, and then the empty spaces, negative points, and then your total, and that's when you'll see your score. That's essentially how you play. Now, let me give you my thoughts. That's how you play Metro X or Metrex. So let's go ahead and give this a grade. It gets a 72 for me. I'm willing to play it. I like it. Now, it probably would get a higher score from people who like these roll and write type of games. I know there are going to be a ton of people who are going to adore this game because it's a logic tactile game. My partner is phenomenal. I can't wrap my brain around the lines. Every time I play it, I've tried to get better, but I just cannot figure out how to do it. I've played a ton of solo games and I can't get the 30 point range. It's only in the 20s, and I know it's luck based a little bit with those cards, and sometimes you won't get the card that you want. The cards will get reshuffled, but for some reason, for me, I just don't know how to make those lines in a proper order. So because of that, it knocks it down a few points for me. But knowing that, it's a decent little take on a right game. I have to give it points for doing something different, at least something different in my eyes, where you're making these lines and you can't go past a certain point if there's an X in the way. I wonder how long it took to play test that to kind of see where the intersects are best to put them. It's very, very interesting. Now they advise to play on the Metro City side for easy games and the 2 for harder games. I didn't try the harder games. I just kept trying to get the 30 points on the Metro side, and I just was not successful at all. But you know, I still had fun. I just wish my brain worked in the fashion that this game needed it to. But overall, I liked watching my partner crush it. She was so good, and that's one of the cool things about board games in my household is when the logic games come up, well, I get to have my perspective through the eyes of my partner because she's just really good at those. With that being said, it's a decent game. I recommend it to people who want to do a kind of new take on a right game. Thank you again, Game Right, for the review copy. Really do appreciate it. Now, Vine Nation, if you haven't already, click like and subscribe. And if you want this game, it will be in the description below. But until next time I see you, have a great rest of your day and a great time with all that you play. My name is Dave, and I'm out. Choo-choo. Bye. Vine Nation, we love making content here for you on the channel, and we're almost at 10,000 subscribers, so subscribe now and help us out. This video right here, I think you'll like. This video right here, YouTube thinks you'll like. Or you can just sit here and watch me dance the dinosaur for a little bit longer. You can visit us at our social media outlets, and we're going to be improving our Patreon here soon. That's all for today. Miko, it's time to go. Good girl, Miko.